Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. We haven't seen this one for a little while. I'm going to be doing pack 6 of the Deagostini Collectibles release, a build the Jeff Gordon Chevrolet Monte Carlo. So thinking about it, I think we did the engine. I think that's now all done, and we started working on the suspension, and look at the detail on this frame here as well. Look at that. Now, are we building another one of these today, or are we continuing on with a chassis? I've got no idea. I'm going into this build blind today. I haven't even opened these magazines yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what we are doing. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, I don't know if this is still available. You will have to check the video link or that QR code on the screen there, but we've got 6 stages today. So without further ado, let's get cracking. And that starts with stage 21. And here is the instructions. And it looks like we've got a tiny bit of frame here that we're going to be doing at the moment. It's the front clip right lower subframe. So just putting these two parts in. Going to be a very quick stage, this one. Just so you know, this is everything we've got in pack 6. Now, some packs have absolutely loads of things in by the look of it. Some packs, not so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep 22 out as well, because there doesn't seem to be much in that one, but I will open 21. Okay, and as you can see, got these lovely metal bits here. I'm going to be putting some details on now. I'm just looking at these two here, and it's apparent which one I need first. It's this one here. This is going to be going onto the little indent that I've got here. Now, I need to make sure I put it on the right way, because it's going to be following the shape of that chassis, so it's going to go in like that. I'm holding that in with an AM screw. This is the only screw that comes in this stage, and it's held in from the back side here, and get that in nice and tight. Then I'm just going to be putting this one in here. It has got a locating lug there. All of this is metal, and this time the AM screw goes in through the front here, and get that one in nice and tight as well. And I wasn't joking with you, was I? Once that's done, that's all there is to do in that stage. So we already know stage 22 is not going to have that much to do either. So let's have a quick look at that magazine. As you see, 2 bits of frame and some screws here. We're putting both of these parts of frame together here, just like that. So then that's how that's looking. And get all of these parts out here. You know what? I've never intended to have cars all week this week, but it's shaping up to be that way. So I don't quite know what we're going to do tomorrow yet, but we'll figure that one out soon. Okay, so we don't need actually this bit. We're going to be putting these two parts here together. And all we're going to do is take this smaller part here and put this part on top. Again, all of this is metal. I'm holding it together with CM screws. So I will get them open. And I do feel the need to repeat myself all the time on these videos that I have put them in oil. Anything you see me putting in metal, I've always put it in oil, even if I might not say I have. At this point, muscle memory makes me put it in oil. And for all of you newbies who are watching the channel and saying, why is he putting it in oil? It's because it actually makes these screws go in a lot easier. That's why I use oil just on metal parts. Just dip the tips of the screws in the oil and they go in lovely. But there you go, that's in place. I am now taking what we've created here, and this is basically going to be going on top here. So I'm just going to line up all the parts there. So that's how that is fitting in there. And I'm going to be holding that in just from this side here, once again with these AM screws. And we just need 2 of these. So one in here and one just in this side here. Now, it's pretty apparent if we just have a look at this, what we're actually doing. If I bring the one over that we created last time, this is that whole section that we've been building here. So we are building the other wheel and suspension for the other side. But that is all there is to do in that stage. So in stage 23, here are the instructions. And as you see, we've got the first shock absorber here. We're going to be putting that together and attaching this to that frame that we've just created. So that's looking like that. A very tiny stage, this one, by the look of it. And I mean tiny pieces, as you can see, with a spring. And so I don't lose anything, I'm just going to put this to one side because it's just this little clip here that I need. Bring over the frame that we've been working on. I'm going to be putting this into place. It's actually just going to be going on top of this section here, like this. Now, the part that we've got here, as you see, has got a semicircular curve on it, so that can fit flush on there like that. It's held in with a CM screw, and that'll keep that in place. Now, for the minute, I don't need this. I can put that to one side because I'm going to create the shock now, which means I'm taking this part of the shock absorber and putting in this little bushing, and I need to make sure it's the right way around, so the nipple on the bushing needs to face me as I feed this down this side here. It's going to drop all the way in because when I put the spring in, it's going to go either side of that nipple and hold that in place. Now I do want this to go all the way down here, so stand by. That's actually the hard bit. There we go, I've got it in. So that when I put the spring in, the spring will actually go all the way down there as well, as you can see there. I'm going to cap that off by putting this end of the shock absorber on, and when I put this on, just like this, I want to line the hole up just there, because I'm going to be putting an AP screw in there to keep all of that together and stop that spring pinging off in all directions. Now this time I'm going into plastic, so I don't need to put oil on my screw. And there we go, that's perfect there. And just so you know, we don't have to do this yet, but when I put this end in here now, you can see it's springy. That's how that works. Okay, bring over the frame again, and I'm going to be wanting to put the shock absorber just over this point here. Let's have it that way round so that the screw is facing the other side. I'm going to secure that in with a DM screw. Now that's a flange screw here, and get that locked into place. And just with those two parts there, that's all there is to do in that stage. Swiftly on to stage 24. Here's the instructions. And as you can see, now we're starting to put the suspension in. This will be the second time we've done suspension this week. We're putting this all into place just like that. Wow, certainly comes along. So at the end, that's how that's looking. Quite a big stage, this one. So here is stage 24 here, and you can see lots of parts in this one. So the first thing I need is this suspension spring top seat, looking like this. This is actually going to go into this seat just here, and I need to make sure it's round the right way. There you go, that looks good. Let me just double check it can't go in the other way. I think it doesn't matter actually what way we put that in, but it's going to be sitting in like this. It's held in with EP screws just from this side here. So one in that side and one in the other side. Excellent. I can put that to one side because now I need this suspension upper control arm, and there is some writing on this, and I want the writing to be facing up here, because what I'm going to be doing is placing this into this bracket just here, and it's going to go in this way just like that. And I'm making sure everything's the right way around, because to hold that in, I've got a cap to put over the other side, which looks like this here. So let me just line that up there. Put this cap in, which is going to be going over the top of those parts I've just put in. So now that's like that, and I'm holding it in with AM screws. So one there, and I'm going to put one in on the other side. Now I've created that, I can put that to one side and bring over the anti-roll bar arm, looking like that, and I have got a little drop link here, and all I'm going to be doing is ensuring it's this way round. I'm going to be putting the drop link through the end there. I'm just seeing, does it matter which way round I do this? I don't think it does. They look the same, but I'll put it in this way. I'm holding it in with an ADM screw. Now this is a flange screw, and there we go, that's that drop link in place. And then I can put that to one side and bring over the lower control arm here, and in that I'm going to be putting the spring, which is just going to sit in there like that. Now apparently there is a notch in here that the spring should fit into, and I can see that notch down the bottom. So what I want to do is, when I put this in, I just want to make sure that the spring is rotated round so it's fitting flush to that notch, which means I can't spin it round anymore if I push down on it. Okay, we're going to be putting this lower control arm into place now. So it's actually going to be going onto these two brackets just here, and the spring will be in the middle there, like that. That's how this is going to be going in. And I'm holding it in with ACM screws through each side. Okay, so that's perfect. Then I'm going to be taking the upper control arm here and having it this way round. This is going to be sitting just on top here. And what I want to do is line up that back hole. I'm going to be putting an AM screw through there, which I've got ready here. I remember the first time we did this, I had great problems doing this bit, but I've remembered this time, so there you go, that's that in there. Then I've got this clip here. And what's going to happen with this clip is that we're going to be having this longer section here. Let's get it round the right way. Is going to go onto the tab there, and then it should be able to be pulled up just like this. It's going to be fitting onto the bracket at the top, which means I do need to compress this down just like that with my thumb. So it's going to be sitting on top there, and it's going to be held in with an FM screw. So it's probably best to have an FM screw at the ready here, because I'm going to need to do two things at once. I'm going to need to push down, line up just like this, and then get the FM screw in. Yeah, that ain't easy. But as you can see, I've done that there. Get that in tight, and now that's going to hold that in place just like that. I can then take this part of the shock absorber and put it down the shaft of the shock there, and the other end is just going to be going onto the clip here. I'm not happy with how that's sitting. I think this needs to be the other way round. So I'm just going to take the screw out there and just swiddle that round there. There we go. It was sitting at an angle, you see. So now I've got the screw for that shock absorber facing away. So on this side, it's facing towards. As you can see, that's sitting in there a lot better. I'm happier with that. And once again, those FM flange screws, I need one of them, because that's going to hold that into place. Perfect. That looks good. Then the drop link with the control arm, I need that now. That's going to go through this hole just here, and it's held in with an ADM screw, which, if you remember, if I can get it in, was the smaller flange screw. It's so small I can't get a PH1 screwdriver in there, which is what I normally do. See what I mean though? This was a pretty epic stage here. There we go, that's that one on. Then I've got the steering knuckle here. What I'm going to do that is I'm going to put the upper control arm onto this steering knuckle. It's going to be going on here. The bottom is just going to be fitting down the bottom here. And I'm going to put an FM screw at the top, an FM screw at the bottom. I am getting flashbacks for when we did the other side, and I'm remembering how hard I found it. I'm not finding it as hard this time. But there you go. That's it. That's the knuckle in. And then I'm just looking at this, the way I've got it here. This control arm here is the wrong way round on my one. So I'm just going to need to just change that quickly. Flip it over. See, I discover these things. It does seem like it's going okay, but it's an easy fix. Because this should be fitting quite close to the frame there, and it wasn't. That's how I knew. Plus, it was pointing in a completely different direction. But I make mistakes, so you don't have to. I did follow the instructions and put it the way around it told me at the start, though. So perhaps it's because it's like 8 o'clock in the morning here. But there you go. That's now looking exactly like the picture. So I'm happy. That's all there is to do in that stage. You see, it's okay to do things wrong. And in that case, it was such an easy fix. So I didn't mind leaving that in. Okay, so stage 25. This is the penultimate stage of this pack. And as you can see, we've now got the brake disc and we've got some control. This is part of the steering by the look of it. And we're going to be putting all of this together just like that here. A lot to do by the look of it. And this is actually going together. So it's looking just like that. So here is stage 25 here. It is interesting that we are going to be linking these together now. And there are some tiny parts in here. Let me just get these screws out and show you what I mean. Look, check that out. Look at that little thing there. Okay, first thing I need is the caliper, and that little thing I just showed you, I need that. because I'm looking at the instructions and there is 2 little holes in here where I need to place this. So this is going to be going in here. So that sits in just like that. Now I'm going to be placing this way round, bringing over the knuckle that we've been working on here, and it's going to be going into here just like that. And I'm going to be screwing it from the other side with 2 EP screws. So you do have to go through the frame to get these in. One there, and just one on the other side here. There you go, that's the caliper on. Just put that to one side while I make a brake disc, which means taking these 2 parts here and just putting them together to line up the holes, and then push them just like that so it can make one complete brake disc there. That was a quick one. Put that to one side, and now I'm going to be making the steering rack. Now let's see if I can get this the right way round this time. So I'm going to need the flat side here with the bend facing towards me. Now on this side here, through the hole there, I'm going to be putting this part of the steering here. Now I'm holding that in with a DM screw from the back, but you do have to be careful because they do look very similar. This one's got a larger section on. I think this is the one I need, but I'm going to put this in here now. This is 25F that I'm putting in here. Oops, that was dangerous. Now, that's in there like that. If we just look at 25E, it's ever so slightly smaller, I think. I don't know. That's going in the other side, just here. And once again, held in with a DM screw. Okay, that looks good. Right, then I've got this steering center link, which is going to go through the large hole on this side if I'm having it this way around. So it should be in just like that there. Holding that in with an FM screw. That's a larger flange screw. And once I've got this in, I'm going to lay it down so I can screw this tighter. I'm just going to have a pause just to confirm that this is definitely in the way they've got it in the picture. And I'm looking at the picture, and yes, I've got this exactly like the picture, so I'm happy. Okay. I want to bring over the suspension that we've been working on. And what I want to do is having this, let's get it the right way round, this way round, I'm going to be putting this over the steering knuckle on the end just there. Now I'm holding that in with an FM screw. And then bring over the one that we worked on in the last pack. And you've guessed it, we're going to be doing exactly the same thing over here by putting this one on this side over here, holding it in with an FM screw. Just through the top there. Now I've got this cross member to put in now. So let's have it round this way, because it's very, as you can see, falling all over the place at the moment. We need to secure this in. And I'm going to be putting this cross member in. Now it actually goes into the cavity that we can see here. Now it has got a certain way round it goes because of the notch in this, just like that there on each side. Now I'm holding them in with JM screws. So this will give some rigidity to it. I hope that's the right word. I'll get one in this side and then just one in the other side over here. Yeah, this ain't going to be the easiest thing you've done today, but that is in nice and tight. Now I'm going to skip a stage and do the next stage in a second. I just want to get this laid out exactly as it's meant to be. So I'm going to be putting the next cross member in as well now, which is just going to be going over these back sections here and here, just to pull that in. I just want to make sure that this is actually secure. That's why I'm doing it this way. Now they're going to be held in with AM screws just into here. So one in that side and just one in that side there. That's made that a little bit more secure, if you like. Now this is the brake line here. I need to cut this into two lengths of 150 mils. So that's one there. And the other one, God, it only needs a tiny bit cut off. And what I'm going to do is try and find that caliper for the brake disc on this side. And it's very hard to show you this. I'm going to get my tweezers out. There's a nipple on this caliper, which I need to put this brake disc in. There's a nipple on the caliper for that pipe to go in just there, as you can see. So that's in like that. I don't know if I need to glue that in. I've kept it unglued at the moment. I'm guessing I'm going to be doing the same with the one on the other side. Now this is going to be easier to see. But the nipple is in the same place, just at the end here. And I've got that in as well. And there you go. A lot's been done in this stage, but this, if I get it like the picture, is how this is looking. Now, when I did this, let me just take these screws out for this cross member here. Again, I've made another mistake, but I want you to see this. This needs to be going the other way. The reason I put it in this way is because of these notches here. We're matching the notches on the side of the chassis here, or the chassis frame. There is actually a notch at the bottom as well. I didn't realise that. So this is able to go in the other way, like this. And that's the way that that should be in. So let me put these screws back in. Once again, I do think it's important to leave my mistakes in. You can see why I did it that way. But that's wrong. It should be this way here. That looks like the picture. And that is all there is to do in that stage. You know what, when I make lots of mistakes in builds, I know people are screaming at the screen, so I'm hoping that I've satisfied the fixes that I put in. This is the last stage now. We're still working on the steering box and the steering arm. So I'm putting these parts here together, just like this, and then we are attaching this. So this is how it's looking at the end. So not a lot to do in this last stage here. I am conscious we haven't put another wheel on yet. This is certainly a fiddly build, isn't it? Okay. What I need first is this part of the steering housing. I want it this way round, and I'm going to be putting this spindle down the bottom here. Now, this is going to be operating the whole steering mechanism. As you see, we've got a worm gear on here, which is going to be sitting into the top. So when this turns, it's going to turn the steering like that. Now I am going to want to clamp this together by putting this top section over here. I'm not going to do that straight away. What I am going to do is cake this in some metal grease, which I've got here. This is in my Amazon store. And this is just going to help to make sure that this is easy to move. And believe me, as you can see here, I am literally caking this in grease. Put the top on. Perfect. And then just check how it works. It's working okay there. Excellent. That grease is going to help, trust me. CM screws I need. And it's these which are going to hold this together. And we need 3 of them. So just get all of these in. There you go. Happy with that. I'm going to take this part of the frame now. I'm going to be putting this steering mechanism into place, which just means I'm putting this into position on the side here. Now, we do have 2 locating lugs on here, which are going to be screwed in from the other side here with AEM screws. Now, here's these AEM screws, tiny ones these are. And I'll get these screwed in. One here, and one just on the top here. I do want to make sure that these are in as tight as I can possibly get them. Okay, that's good. Then I want the Pitman steering arm. That's what's going to go in next. That's going to be going on top of this, and I want it this way round here. So this is pointing upwards. There it is shaped like the steering there. So that's going to go in like that. Putting that in with an FM screw, one of the flanged FM screws. So as you can see, when this moves, that moves now, as you can see. Now this is the power steering fluid hose. I'm going to be putting this on now. So one end is going to go onto this back pin just here. Get that all the way in, just like that. And then we're going to be bringing over our friend over here, because we're going to be installing this into place. Is taking the frame here, putting it underneath, and then this part of the steering knuckle is going to go on this side just here, into there like that. Okay, that's looking okay at the moment. Make sure that's all the way in there. I'm going to be doing the same on the other side here, which is going to go into this side over here. It's taking some moving things around. I am turning this just to help get this into position I needed, eh? Perfect, so that's in there as well. Wow, okay. So first thing first, I'm going to put an FM screw in there to hold that one in place. It's very tricky, and I'm going to have to glue that on because that's just fallen off. Okay. On the other side here, once again, an FM screw. I might just need a little tiny bit of percussive force just to knock that in. Like that. And an FM screw in here. And then I need to open the AM screws. Don't worry about this lead, that's not caught, I thought it was. And the AM screws are going to actually secure this into the position it needs to be on this frame here. So I'm just going to move this into position, line it up, and get this in. So one's going in this side here. I'm not making it tight, just loose enough to engage one end. Do the same on the other side, which is really going to pull this into shape now. Just like this. And then we'll get this as tight as I humanly can get it. And you do want to just check that the steering works. As you can see, that's working good. Okay, I'm just going to put that lead back into the top of the steering pin here. Hopefully I won't have to glue that, but there we go, that's in there. Now I've got to put these control arms into place. Now if you remember these are the ones here. They're going to go onto the sides just here, like this. They're held in with FM screws. And again, this is going to reinforce this, make it a lot more secure on here. So one there. Once again, I've just found out the control arm on this side I'd put in back to front as well. So I'm just having to fiddle around with this just to get this screw out so I can flip that round. Look at the way I'm having to do this. There you go. Oh, the things we do to fix our errors. But there you go, that screws now in. Which does mean now I can put this on this side and secure it with an FM screw. Once again, look, I've had one of these brakes fall off as well. So I think I am going to glue those into place. Coming from this unit here, I want this lead, and this is going to be going onto the other nipple. I can just move this brake line, which we've got on top of that steering box here, where I've just glued this blue one in. This one goes onto the back nipple here. Don't think I'm going to need glue for that one. I haven't glued this one in, which I'm going to do now. I think you can see why now I do glue all these pipes in, because they all fall out during the build and then you won't know where they go. But there you go, that one's in place as well. But there you go, that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. That was a really tough stage, and what I've had to do is just double check the steering arms on each side just to make sure that they're flipped around the right way. But if they're not, they don't sit flush to the wheel. I noticed one of mine was out, but I did fix that afterwards. But it is coming along, looking really good, and it's very heavy as well. Obviously, we've still got the other wheel to make as well. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, you will have to check if this is available. I have got a link in the video description, and you've also got that QR code on the screen. But I really hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, Take care.